Hey everyone, today we're going to be checking out this guy. This is the eufy S1 Pro Robot Floor Cleaner. Now, I've used a lot of different robot vacuums in the past, but this one surpasses them in a lot of ways, primarily in features, usability, convenience, and intelligence. And because of that, I'm so glad that eufy reached out to sponsor this video so I could tell you about my experience with this and why I think it's so cool.
One of the tests that we ran to see if this would actually work in this hybrid scenario where there's wet spill, there's dry stuff on the floor as well, is just we threw a bunch of stuff on the floor and some of it was wet, some of it was dry, and it ended up working really well. Like, the floor was clean after this, and other types of robot vacuums would have just smeared a lot of the stuff over the floor. After doing this test, I actually trusted the robot to do a good job, and I started running it about every other day so I can have clean floors most of the time. Plus, it is actually just kind of fun to watch go around, especially the part where it picks up the mop when it goes over carpet. So when it's going over carpet, it will pick up the wet mop half an inch off the ground so it doesn't drag wet mop over the carpet. It's another one of those things that makes this product feel really well thought through and convenient to use. Turning on the robot vacuum for the first time, I installed the app and then walked through this sort of process where it connects to the internet, and then it also downloaded a software update. Unboxing and setting up the robot vacuum in the base only took about 15 minutes, and then I was really excited to just let this thing start going. So I wanted to see the 2D maps that it creates on the app, which is really cool. And then also I was excited to see how well this thing actually cleans. Because my downstairs floor is tile, I've talked a lot about the mopping features, but it also has 8,000 pascals of suction. So it's got plenty of power to work on carpet, and it actually detects when it's on carpet and increases the suction power. As you can see here, when you run it for the first time, it's just going to go out and get a map of information, and it creates this information using a combination of cameras, so infrared cameras as well as LiDAR. And the cameras is actually what allows us to have computer vision and detect different types of obstacles. Compared to robot vacuums I've had in the past, the S1 Pro does a lot less of that bumping around and nudging things that robot vacuums are kind of known for. It really preemptively detects objects in front of it and then maps its path around it using the combination of infrared cameras and LiDAR, and those also allow it to work in the dark as well. So at 2 a.m. when I run this thing, I have no lights on and it works really well. Here's an example of it preemptively detecting a really thin cord and then making a path around it so it doesn't get tangled. That's such a huge difference maker in terms of the convenience of this, because if I have cords laying around or if I have shoes on the ground, I'm not worried that it's going to get tangled and stuck, and I'm not going to wake up to the robot vacuum in a tangle of cords really. And that's happened to me with a lot of different robot vacuums that I've tried in the past. The S1 Pro even shows you in the app where it's detected the cables or cords or shoes or any of the other objects it's able to classify, and it charts paths around it.
One thing that I typically haven't liked about mopping vacuums in the past is that
you're typically just dragging one soapy dish rag across the entire floor for the whole time. The S1 Pro actually has a rotating mop that cleans itself while it's cleaning the floor, and you can actually hear it in motion too. And then when it goes back to the base station, it washes and then dries the mop too, so there's no odors or musty smell. The base station is also really simple to set up. You plug it in, and there's actually this really nice feature where you can conceal the cords by just wrapping it in the back, and then the cover goes and clicks over it so you can have an adjustable length cord. One thing that's really neat is the base station actually is smart enough to know the status of a lot of its inputs. So for example, it'll know that if there's no cleaning solution, it'll know if the vacuum bag in the base station is not installed properly, and it will tell you as well. So there's a lot of smart features in here that make sure that you're having the best experience with the S1 Pro. Another thing that I don't like about traditional robot vacuums is having to empty the dust bin frequently or the water bin. And with this base station, it's pretty big, so you can go quite a few days and quite a few uses without having to refill water or having to empty the dust bin, because the containers in the base station are just so much bigger. And it's really cool that after the vacuum is done, it'll actually suction up all of the dirt and debris that's in the vacuum and then store it in the base station.
Start dust collection.
If you live in a hard water area, I actually had to use reverse osmosis water because the ozone generator wasn't working properly with the hard water. Now, why does a robot mop need an ozone generator? Well, it's because if you're going to have this tank of water, you want to be making sure that you're sterilizing it. This makes sure that you're using clean, sterile water to mop your floors, and it's actually really cool that you can see the ozone being generated through the water tank, which is also transparent so you can see how much clean water you have left. While we don't wear shoes in the house, sometimes people do step inside with their shoes and leave footprints around. So I set up this test where I left a footprint down to see if the S1 Pro could effectively get rid of it just while mopping, and to not much of a surprise, it did it quite well. This is sped up footage also showing what it looks like after the water from the mop has evaporated. As you can see, it's a pretty clean surface. The robot vacuum itself has enough water in it where it can clean for 484 square feet before it has to go back to the base station to empty itself. My downstairs happens to be about 450 square feet, which means that it can do my entire downstairs floor, vacuum and mop without returning to the base station once. And when the robot goes back to the base, you can actually watch it empty out the dirty water, and it'll give you a notification when the dirty water tank in the station is full, so you can go ahead and just dump that into the toilet. The screen on the base station also shows you the status of what's going on with the robot, and you can also change modes and start cleaning from the base station itself. And it does all this while looking good too, so I can have it downstairs without feeling like I need to hide it away, and it's just ready to go whenever I have it scheduled to.
Be sure to check out the eufy S1 Pro by clicking on the link in the description. Shout out to eufy for reaching out and sponsoring this video, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again real soon.